which is getting faster all the time. And we have two challenges here. Two challenges, one after the other. The first is to open our minds, start taking responsibility back, and remove this edifice of control and suppression of information, which will allow the full flow of knowledge of who we are to flood into the public arena. Once people get access to that information and start to realize who they really are and the nature of life, then we can go into stage 2, which is the incredible consciousness shift that is going to happen and is happening for many people already, but can happen for everybody if we open up to the knowledge of what's going on. And to do that, the edifice of suppression has to go. And what I see so often in the kind of what we call the New Age movement is they're focusing on the second bit and they're in denial about the first. And the second is not going to happen for many people unless we remove the edifice of suppression, because most people are going to think, what the heck's going on? They're going to go through this great change in a complete fog of what's happening. Tremendous fear. Oh my goodness me, what's happening? So there's two things to do here. One is to start focusing on how the world's controlled, identifying it, removing it. Secondly, then we can concentrate unhindered on the transformation spiritually that is unfolding to the year 2012 and beyond. One area, too, key area, because I mentioned the Gregorian calendar, that has been used to control us and de-link us from who we really are, is the manipulation of time. This planet works on moon time, 13 moon years. That's the sequence of time that we work on. Naturally, that's what nature is connected to. That's what the woman's menstrual cycle is connected to. But we're not connected to that. We're connected to this, time as measured artificially. As a result, we have become de-linked from the natural flow of time. We've become de-linked from the cosmos. This is why native people who don't work with these things, who aren't slaves to the watch and the clock, are much more in tune with nature because they're resonating in the same time flow as nature. And where is time measured from on this planet? Greenwich, London, in the heart of the manipulation of the brotherhood at operational level for so long, right to the present day. No accident. So we have a situation where the idea has been to turn us into left brain prisoners. Even conventional science accepts that the left brain is where we get intellect, logic, physical worldview. Can I touch it, taste it, smell it? Okay, it must exist. In the right brain, you have the bigger picture, the connection with the cosmos. That's where the artist, the inspiration, the creativity comes from. And if you look at the institutions of education, of science, and all these different areas of information, the media too, they're pumping information of a left brain variety and suppressing this. So you get a situation where what we call education works like this. Information is pumped into the left brain, most of it completely rubbish. And what people are asked to do, students are asked to do, is to hold that information there, and then when they get an exam paper in front of them, to regurgitate that onto the paper. If they remember it and put it there well enough, and repeat what they've been told, they pass the exam and progress. If they take that information in the left brain, transfer it to the right and start filtering it and questioning it, and saying, well, does it make sense? What do I think about this? And then tell the exam paper, oh, actually, it's a piece of shit, this stuff. Then they don't pass the exam, and they don't progress. The education system is completely built to create left brain prisoners who are basically sponges of the official version of life. And if you're a scientist, for instance, you go through that, and then you go to your speciality in science, and you get more left brain information. Same with doctors and all these professions. They're left brain prisoners who cannot conceive so much of what I've been talking about here because they're imprisoned in the intellect. We can just balance those two sides of the brain, the intellect and the spirit, the mind and the heart, then suddenly we are transformed in terms of our perception of ourselves. Well, this is a symbol that kind of encapsulates, I think, how we are disconnected from who we really are, and the process that so many people are going through now to remove that division so we can reconnect. What you're looking at there symbolically is I call it lower vibrational emotional range. It's the range of frequency that resonates the energy within us to fear, to guilt, to resentment, to lack of self-esteem. And the more that we are manipulated to feel those things, and the more we manipulate each other to feel those things, the more what I call that cesspit vibration of low vibrational emotion gets more and more full and more difficult to get through, and therefore out to the multidimensional state that we can get into as we reconnect with the ocean, with the cosmos. And this is why when people start on this spiritual journey, my goodness me, I was there myself, over the last 10 years or so, the reason that they start to realize when they start to walk the journey that all hell breaks loose in their life, that structures break down in their life, and they think, crikey, if this is spiritual. I remember me, when I started on this route, my life broke down in so many ways. I thought, if this is spirituality, you can stuff it. I don't want to know. But why is this happening? Why does this happen to people? Because, as I mentioned earlier, when you put out your intent, this is what I want to achieve, that intent energy will always draw towards us what we need to achieve that intent. So if we're going to reconnect with the cosmos, if we say, I want to be who I really am and connect with all that exists, then that intent will draw to us the experiences necessary to achieve that. All the time, every time. And what we need to do to achieve that connection is to clear out that cesspit level of low vibrational emotion. All those things within us which we've gone into denial about, like, oh, just change the subject, mate, don't want to talk about it. And so we draw into our lives people, experiences, what have you, that make sure that we can no longer do that, that this has to come out and be processed, and we have to clean out all this emotional debris that's disconnecting us from who we really are. And so if we're prepared to walk this journey, if we don't at that stage when the challenges come go, oh no, like spirituality but not that badly, thank you very much. If we're prepared to take those challenges, to take a step back and realize that it's actually an experience that is going to set us free rather than a really negative bad thing that is something to do with the fact that we're not good people. Must have been something terrible in a previous life. I hear that all the time. These connections or these challenges are to help set us free by cleaning this out. It's important we understand that. And I find that there are so many people in what's called the New Age or into the psychic stuff and all the rest of it who are still operating on a fraction of who they are because they're not prepared to do what is necessary and take the challenges to face what's within us. And we all have this stuff within us to remove and process. And when you do, that's when you can start talking about freedom. And it's coming back, as we come to a close here, to the same thing again and again, the way to freedom. And that is to step out of the fear what other people think of us and just do it, just do it, just do it. People say to me sometimes, how do I get over the fear of what people think? How do I get over the fear of what people think of me? What I would suggest is let the fear be the trigger to overcome it. So if you're in a situation where you're thinking, oh, well, I'd love to say this, but what will they think? Just say it. Just say it. If the people around you cannot respect your right to be you, then what are you worried about? What they think of you for? And if you're in a situation where I'd love to do this, this is what I like to do, but what will they think? Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. And when you get into that just do it mode, just do it mode, just do it mode, some very interesting things start to happen. First of all, you're following your intuition, your heart, your connection with out there, and you're letting that be your guide. Just do it intuitively. And after a while, and I've seen this in my own life, although the head is screaming, oh my God, what are you doing? Eventually, you start to realize that when you follow your intuition, although it might set up great challenges to start with, and you think, oh my goodness, what have I done? Eventually, you see that everything was exactly what was necessary to bring about a positive outcome. And after a while of doing this, of just doing it, just doing it, just doing it, your mind, your head starts to look at this and it realizes that every time you follow your intuition, although it's a challenge, eventually everything works out tremendously well. And what happens then is the head and the heart come into sync. and what you think and what you feel become the same thing. And that's when we start to connect with who we really are and the true nature of our power to manifest our own destiny.